course, the relevance of this is the difference between the future and the past on the A theory of time. In your view, Dr. Craig, neither of these things exist. They're not real.
Right.
Right. And the idea is that because the past has sort of already happened, we can count it as an actual infinite.
Right. It's part of the actual world. It's actualized.
But not anymore, right?
It's gone.
It's part of the actual world. Everything that has happened up to the present is part of actuality. It is complete. It is over.
So, but is the past actual?
Yes, it's actual, but it doesn't exist. I'm using the word actual here in the way philosophers talk about actual worlds.
Yep.
This actual world has been instantiated up to the present moment.
Yeah.
And those events can be counted. We can ask, how many prime ministers have there been in a past that goes back forever and ever, and no prime minister ever served an infinite number.
Feels like we've had an
of
infinite
years.
number even in this universe.
There would be an actually infinite number.
But of course, but the point is that the future doesn't exist either. And I think, I suppose the problem is giving actuality to a past which doesn't exist and not giving that actuality to a future which doesn't exist but will exist, I think doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'll tell you why. For example, you would agree that God knows everything that will happen in the future, yes? He knows right now, and you believe that God is in time as well. So God right now, even though the future hasn't happened yet, he knows everything that will happen in the future. The future will happen. We can, at least God could, sort of conceptually, metaphysically, kind of put a box around it. So God knows what's going to happen in the future exactly as much as he knows what has happened in the past. The idea that because the future hasn't happened yet, it therefore has this sort of non-actual status, I want to say that, like, if neither of them exist, the thing that matters is, like, to what extent can we say, well, these are like sets which, like, conceptually exist, which, like, we can sort of conceptually put a box around, and at least for God himself, he'd be able to do that just as equally, just as easily for the future as the past, right? Not quite sure if I'm finding the right words to say what I mean here, but you see what I'm saying, which is that the future does exist conceptually, is actual in the sense that God knows exactly what's going to happen. It's already there. And it is, in fact, going to occur infinitely, forever. All of that future is already, like, conceptually there in the mind of God, and yet that's not actual.
Can we have a response on this?
Let me see if I can't help good old Alex O'Connor here understand a few things. The first thing is that something cannot be complete and endless at the same time and in the same respect. But this is the definition of an actualized infinity. And the reason that something can't be complete and endless at the same time and in the same respect is because the two terms have contradictory meaning. Now, the second thing that we need to point out here is that God necessarily must be the GCB, or what we call the greatest conceivable being, and therefore must uphold a plethora of different attributes, including but not limited to omniscience, more commonly referred to as being all-knowing. And this definition of God and this necessity of God's nature and character can all be proven using the ontological argument. So we have two things established so far. Number one, something can't be complete and endless at the same time, which is the definition of an actualized infinity. And number two, God must necessarily be all-knowing or omniscient. Okay, moving right along. If God knows everything, then his knowledge is complete. But since something can't be complete and endless at the same time and in the same respect, then we can conclude that the universe is not infinite, meaning it will in fact come to an end. On the other hand, if the universe never came to an end, and in fact was infinite into the future, then God would not be able to have complete knowledge of it. Because in that scenario, something would be complete and endless at the same time and in the same respect, which again we know is a contradiction. So this just brings us back to the conclusion that the future is not infinite or eternal. Now let us contrast all of that with the past. If the past was infinite, and space and time were eternal in the past without beginning, that would mean that there'd be an actual infinite number of cause and effects in our past history, which would also then mean that there would be an actual infinite number of events in our past history, because in fact there would be no first event. So in this scenario, you could say that there would have been an endless number of events in our past, which then begs the question, which one of those endless events in our past has not yet occurred? You see the problem? All of those endless events in our past history would have necessarily been actualized, complete, and finished. But again, that leads to the problem of an actualized infinity, something that is complete and endless at the same time in the same respect. This is another one of the reasons that all ST hypotheticals have been proven logically incoherent. So despite what Alex O'Connor is claiming here, the future is not, I repeat, is not an actualized infinity because it's not complete and endless at the same time, unlike the past, which is an actualized infinity if there's no starting point. Anyways, have a good day, little man. I love you. Stay safe out there. And like I always tell you, baby, it's never goodbye. No, no, no. It's always, I see you, rascally rabbits, later. Peace. Oh, and before I get out of here, I'd just like to throw in one more monkey wrench to muddy up this whole situation, and that is this. Even though God is all-knowing, he's always learning when new events occur. For example, God might know that you're going to drink a glass of water in 5 minutes, but he doesn't know that you are currently drinking the glass of water. It's not until you actually pick up the glass and start drinking, and that the temporal act is instantiated, that God acquires new knowledge, which is you are now drinking the glass of water. Prior to you drinking the glass, God just knew that you were going to do it. But once you start doing it, he learns that you are now performing the act. All right, fellas, that's it. I'm out of here. I love you guys. Peace.